Hey, I'm in Chicago today for the IFT First convention. This is the Institute of Food Technology's big conference called FIRST. The FIRST stands for Food Improved by Research, Science, and Technology. Now, my name's David, and I host a YouTube channel called Freeze Dry Business. If you're not familiar with it, you can subscribe and go research for it. But through the years of running that YouTube channel and being in freeze drying, there's a lot of people that have told me that this particular convention is really eye-opening to understand what food has to offer for a lot of different applications. And so there are a couple of manufacturers here that do freeze drying, and I'm going to share with you in this video and document kind of what I'm seeing from a new person, a newbie perspective to this particular conference. So come along. I'm going to share what type of booths I visit. I'm going to share a couple of short interviews of people that I know I want to go see, and maybe I'll find some people that I don't know and see what they're all about. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you more about what I found out through my day here at IFT and whether you should attend this event if you're looking at growing your food-based business, and if it's in freeze drying especially, whether you should attend this as well. So let's go take a look at the convention. All right, I just visited this booth right here. This is Pure Earth PSI. They're actually in Chino, California, and they make all different types of fruit powders. So I got myself a little flyer, and she said one of the challenges that she faces with the freeze drying of powders is the clumping of powders that come out, because there's a lot of different nuances to freeze drying when you're trying to powder something. And so I've got her card. I'm going to connect her with some people that I know personally through my consulting side of things, and maybe we can try to see if we can help her fine-tune the clumping that's happening with the freeze-dried fruit powder. So anyway, just meeting a lot of fun people. That's her right there, Joyce, and the other person over there was very friendly. So that's the first person I met right when I walked in. Look at that, organic fruit powders. All right, let's check out to see what else we can find. Hey, I actually met some familiar faces here in the industry. This is Heath and Blaine of Bereas Freeze Dry. Now, you guys, I actually did a video. I came out to Bereas Freeze Dry in Mount Vernon, Missouri about a year and a half ago. How's business going?
It's been great. We're at capacity, but always looking to expand.
Yeah. Now, why do you come to an event like this, like IFT? Because it's not exactly a freeze drying event, but why do you come as a company that does freeze drying?
Well, we stay up on the latest trends of food technology, and thanks for walking through our camera shot, lady. No, it's all great. But here you get the melting pot of every segment of the industry, from ingredient suppliers to machines to anything you can possibly think of, and we just get to see new cool stuff. We've probably done more business at this show than any other show, so we come back every year.
Thinking about like the past events that you've gone to this here a couple years ago, are you seeing more people using freeze drying technology in terms of booths and people who are familiar with that? Do you feel like that the uptick is there?
Oh, it's definitely there, especially in the pet and ingredient space. So the technology used to be cost prohibitive, but now the machines are getting cheaper. They're finding more efficient ways to produce freeze-dried products, and I would say a good portion of the booths here are freeze-dried ingredients.
Yeah, and just to kind
Follow up on that.
yeah, go ahead.
You heard them, freeze-dried machine manufacturers. Your prices are getting cheaper. You heard it straight from Blaine's mouth. You need to lower your prices.
Now, just tell us a little bit about Bereas, because if some people haven't watched the videos that I have on the channel, but like, what does Bereas do, and then what do you guys do in the industry?
Yeah, so Bereas is a toll processor. So companies send us their ingredients, or we help source ingredients to freeze-dry for them. We offer freeze-drying, milling, co-packing. We work with everyone from supplements to edible human foods to pet treats.
And what do you like most about being in this industry, Blaine?
It's always changing. You know, the players are changing every year, but it's really a small, tight-knit group of people that kind of make the North American freeze-dried market exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like going wherever Levi is.
Levi's behind the camera. Okay, so I'm about to venture out into the startup area.
Okay.
Like, what do you like about the startup area of this conference?
Yeah, so over the last few years, we've seen a lot of companies in fermented yeast, fermented proteins, and a lot of them require freeze drying to actually make it a shelf-stable product. Yeah, there's a lot of new opportunities in the freeze dry space coming out of there.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna head over there. So thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, David.
Hey, I bumped into probably the largest manufacturer of freeze dryers in the world, right? This is Yassine from GEA. Now, this is big time, and I don't own or can't afford this type of big machine, but I wanted to meet you, Yassine, and fill us in a little bit for my channel about what GEA is for people that don't know, how long you've been around, and kind of like what do you guys focus on in freeze drying?
Yeah, so thank you, David, of course, for this very good opportunity. Finally, we made it happen. So GEA, we have been around for, 50 years plus within the business freeze drying. We have a lot of experience. We are located, our center of competence is located in Copenhagen in Denmark. This is our pilot plant. We are focusing a lot on high capacity because this is what our clients, they want to achieve as high capacity as possible. This is our pilot plant, like I said. It has capacity 2 trays, and we can scale up any recipe over to industrial ones.
Yeah, this is the big time. Now, if somebody buys a machine like this, like how much capacity can this do in terms of ice capacity, and maybe relate it to kilograms or pounds?
Yeah, so in pounds, you can put from 12 to 14 pounds in each tray. The trays have the exact same size, whether it is, from the pilot to the industrial one, because this is one of the variables we want to lock when it comes to scaling up of the recipes. We also have the other kind of trays, which is the fin trays.
Yeah, this is what I thought was kind of interesting. I hadn't seen a tray system like this, but you were describing it.
Yes.
What would you put in here?
So we would put some granulated products, like smaller product, which has higher packing density. The idea of those fins is to transfer the heating also sideways, not only radiation from top and bottom, but the transfer of energy is also happening from the sides. So this is going to provide or give a higher sublimation, and the product will be dried faster.
Yeah, GEA, like you're known for kind of the continuous system freeze dryers, right? The rail system. So these types of systems, it's a full facility that they're building for clients so that you can have basically your whole system operating within the freeze drying facility. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So we can adapt our layout to our plant to any factory layout. We have the rail system, which is very hygienic. There is a distance to the floor, so there is no contact to anything on the ground. Everything is suspended. For hygienic purposes, we can do everything also, and we can provide all this rail system, engineering them also with the client.
Yeah. And the Freeze Dried Summit's coming up soon, September 20th to the 23rd. He's gonna be there. He's gonna try to make it. And so if you're not attending the Freeze Dried Summit and you're interested in what freeze drying is all about, get your ticket right now. But let's go check out some more booths. Thanks, Yassine.
We look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Okay, another booth that I just finished checking out was TechSource Systems. They've got the Econoline back there. I've done a couple videos on them, but they're a big sponsor of the Freeze Dried Summit. I wanted to make sure I visited them. I also visited the team at Cudden, that's across the way. Cudden Freeze Dry, they're another sponsor of the summit. There's only really about 3, maybe 4 freeze drying companies really here that manufacture freeze dryers. I showed you what GEA was. Then I mentioned these 3 other companies. That's really the only manufacturers that I really found here. What I am going to go do though is I'm going to go check out Van Drunen. And if you're not familiar with Van Drunen, they're one of the largest freeze drying companies that actually process product, and they do it both as a toll processing. They also do, I think, some private label where they do it for other people. And so I'm gonna go visit them for the very first time, see what they're all about, see what their booth is about, see who we can connect with there. So let's go take a look. All right, well, we're on our way to Van Drunen. We're gonna go take a look, but one thing I've noticed is that there's a lot of different companies from all over the world here at IFT. There's people that are doing pet food. There's people that are doing all types of vegetables and fruits, powders. There's a big stage where people are talking in here. Natural colors seems to be a really big thing right now. A lot of people are concerned about what they're going to do with the artificial dyes. And so now people are looking for natural ways to dye and color their product. And it's actually quite difficult. It's not just as easy as, you know, replacing, let's say, the strawberry red with the red dye that you've used. And so a lot of these different booths have actually, just like I just showed you, they've been trying to figure out how to best serve their customers that have been buying that artificial dye, but now going into more natural flavors. And it's not necessarily this company right here that's doing that. A lot of companies are looking to get that natural color from natural products so that it's very traceable and natural. So let's make our way over to Van Drunen and see what they have to offer. All right, I made it over to Van Drunen Farms. Now this is one of the longest lasting type of freeze drying companies that does all types of freeze drying, and I wanted to actually share with you from their perspective what they actually do in freeze drying. So Vicky and Tim, I just met them. What do you guys do for Van Drunen? And tell me a little bit about the origins of the company and then how far it's come to today where you're at IFT.
Yeah, so I am Tim Zalstra. I've been with the company for 25 years. We've been freeze drying for about 40 years altogether. You introduce yourself.
I'm Vicki Galinsky. I'm Director of PR and Communications. I've been here for a little over 9 years.
Nice.
So we've been, like I said, freeze drying for about 40 years. We actually are third, fourth generation farming company. Been doing value added vegetables off of our farms in Illinois for a very long time and got into more value added ingredients just along the way and started with freezing ourselves. Thus the table here has frozen ingredients and then naturally kind of evolved into freeze drying. So we've been freeze drying for a very long time. So we have factories here just south of Chicago, a factory in Europe, and a factory in South America also.
Yeah, and you're a very big company because you don't only just do your own foods, you also freeze dry for other people, right? Like you have a service side to your company too, right?
We do both. Yep, we freeze dry our own for CPG companies, retail brands, food service, and then we also do toll drying also for customers as well. Yep.
And I come from like a small freeze drying operation, and a lot of the people that watch us on my YouTube channel, you know, we come from more of the small startup countertop freeze dryers, but we aspire to be, you know, larger. And so one of the things I do in my YouTube channel is I try to highlight the industry to show companies that can be partnered with as you start growing your business. And so has it been fun to kind of see the different types of companies that come to Van Drunen to get their freeze-dried product going for their brand and their product?
It's exciting. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new project, I would say. And every few years, there's some new wave of something in the market for freeze drying, which is kind of fun to watch and be on the front end of. And always happy to help people out if they're getting started out or answer questions.
What's the most, I like to ask this for people that have been around freeze drying for a while, but what's the most like weirdest or like strangest thing you've seen freeze dried that somebody wanted to freeze dry? See, I interviewed a company that freeze dries pets, and they freeze dry all different types of animals that are less than like 20 pounds. So have you seen any weird things like that?
There are stories of us trying a raccoon very early on back in the day. That was when we had our first dryer, before we were doing food ingredients. But
yeah.
We're not on the pet side. We don't freeze dry pets. No.
Yeah, but everyone experimented with something, right?
Yeah.
You just never know what happens in freeze drying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, good to meet you both. And again, this is Van Drunen Farms. You can look them up and see what they're all about. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, David.
All right, I'm finally sitting down because it's been a long day on my feet at IFT Chicago. So I wanted to recap with you all some observations that I made for my first time ever being at IFT and one of these large food expos. And I wrote them all down here, so bear with me. First of all, there's a huge emphasis right now in natural food coloring. I saw a lot of different booths that talked about how they are helping companies get that natural dye that right now the FDA and everything in the US put a kibosh on and said you need to remove all those bad dyes that are artificial. Okay, so how does this translate to freeze drying? So if you're in freeze drying and you're looking at trying to develop a product, or you're looking at doing something different in freeze drying, you're like, what the heck do I do, David? Well, knowing that companies, large companies, are looking at ways to naturally flavor something and also naturally dye it, then you can look at ways that you're using your home freeze dryer or whatever type of freeze dryer system you have and say, you know what, I'm going to work on a way that has a mixture of a puree, or maybe it's a natural berry or something like that, that you're figuring out a way to create that very dark green color or that light green color, and you can help smaller companies get that natural dye or that natural type of flavor that they've been wanting. So if the big people are looking at that, it's all going to trickle down to the small people. And even if they're not accepting of that type of ingredient to do it, it's going to happen over time because everyone follows what everyone in the large side are doing. Now, observation number 2 is that powders are huge. I saw so many different companies offering powders in some dried form, right? And you can do powderization through freeze drying, you can do it through spray dry, you can do it through air dry. There's a lot of different ways to get a powder. But what I was talking to a lot of other companies about is that freeze drying allows you to have the powder at the highest level of nutritional value in that product. It's a much more expensive way to do it, but if you care about the premium, and the premium also comes with a better premium price, then freeze drying offers that immensely. Now, within the powder side, one company that I did talk to was having trouble with clumping in powders. Do you ever struggle with clumping in when you're doing powder? That is very common for even large producers, and there's a couple reasons why that's probably occurring. Number one is you're not actually milling it, meaning you're not fining the powder at a fine enough powder to where it's able to actually flow like a powder, like you pour sugar or flour, things like that. So you actually have to cut it, or you have to mill it in the right right density and everything. The other thing is that you also have to make sure it's completely dry, and you can't also store it in something that's going to allow that air into it. Now, the way that you can also prevent clumping is people actually put additives in it so that you can have what they call a carrier that allows you to basically kind of like pour without it sticking to whatever you're pouring it on, right? So if instead of the powder, like you see when sometimes you blend that freeze dried mix and you blend it and the powder sticks to the cups or the bowl, that doesn't happen if you put an additive in there so that it actually flows out correctly. So those are all ways that you can augment and change up how the powder is not clumping. Final observation that I saw is, man, there were so many imported freeze-dried products that were here. A lot of companies are doing this from overseas and wanting to find the contracts here in the US. So if you are a US-based freeze-drying company that's doing mainly single source ingredients, either in a solid form, like a snack, like a freeze-dried strawberry, or you're doing it in a powder form, there's stiff competition from Asia and from the Middle East and also from India. That's a lot of people that I saw over here at IFT. Now, how do you compete with that? Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can compete with price, and that's branding, it's traceability, it's quality, and it's service. That's the way that you can compete with price. It's not gonna always work out that way, but if you can build a solid brand and build on those 3 pillars, I think a lot of companies care about where they're actually sourcing their ingredients, and they have a better understanding of what they're providing that to their clients. Now, IFT was pretty eye-opening. If you have any questions or comments about what you'd like to know more about IFT or even just about freeze drying, leave a comment below in this video, and subscribe or follow so you can follow more of my journey through IFT in Chicago. We'll see you on the next video.